So on today's episode, we'll be previewing one tangible way that we are helping leaders proactively come together and deal with these important issues that we've been facing in the world and certainly within teams and organizations by previewing this year's Thermostat Cultures live event that I'll host on Friday, November 3rd, 2023. It's a hybrid event, VIP in-person event in Columbus, Ohio, as well as a virtual event for anyone outside of Columbus. And so today's episode will preview this powerful experience that's coming soon. Welcome back to The Thermostat with Jason Barger. If you're currently on a commute, a walk, or just a micro break in your day, glad you're making time to step back, to think, and to reflect on the next steps on your journey. I've never been more convinced the best leaders and team cultures in the world are the ones that make time to step back, breathe in good oxygen, and calibrate their thermostat. I hope today's conversation leaves you feeling grounded and inspired. Now let's dive into today's topic to engage our minds and hearts in order to authentically lead and create compelling cultures wherever we are in the world. Hey everyone, it's Jason and welcome back to the Thermostat Podcast. I'm so glad you're here. However you're coming to the podcast today, welcome in. Glad you're back. If you're somebody who's been with us from the very beginning, that's so glad this continues to add value to your life, your work, and contribute to your week, your month, whenever it is that you're listening to this. If you're new to the podcast, welcome in. So glad you're here. This continues to grow and spread all over the place. So I'm so glad that you are a part of it. And I hope this becomes a part of your routine to fill your own mind and your heart with these kind of thoughts and this kind of content. So my commitment to you is that I want this to be a place for you to step back, for you to be able to think about your own life and your own work, and hopefully that these episodes breathe some good oxygen into you and help you think about the temperature that you're trying to set in your own life and your own work. So glad you're here and hope this is meaningful for you. If before we dive into today's episode, if you'll do me the quick favor, if you will rate the podcast again, of course, and I hate that I always have to do this, but I just keep being told by everybody, you got to say it over and over and over and over again. You got to rinse and repeat. And so anybody that knows my work knows that I believe in that the way we learn and develop as humans is we got to rinse and repeat messages. So this is, I guess, one of those that we need to rinse and repeat, and that is to rate the podcast 5 stars. If you'll rate the podcast as a whole on whatever platform you're listening to, 5 stars. Individual episodes, if things resonate with you, please rate them, and then if you're willing to leave your own words, your own positive review on whatever platform of why something or why this podcast is important or contributes, that your own authentic words help the algorithms work so others can find it and they know it's real. And so I appreciate anybody that takes the time to do that. And then obviously anybody who shares the podcast. So with your team, your colleagues, hey, let's listen to this and talk about it as a team, whatever that may be. Every time you share it on social media or wherever is authentic for you, all of those are ways in which these messages get amplified, and so excited to be able to share them far and wide. So thanks to everybody that takes the time to do that. So as we know, if you're a loyal listener to this podcast, then you know that so much has happened in the last few years in our world. And certainly we talk about navigating the future of work and, transitions from fully remote work back to hybrid, back to, some in-person experiences. Some workforces are fully back in person. Some are still hybrid. Some are finding their way, navigating all of that. We've all been navigating the work-life balance coming out of the pandemic and all the intense stuff that's happened in the world. But all of this has been focused without, to make sure that we aren't losing performance and the results and the mission of whatever it is that your organization or your team is charged to do. And we've been, on this podcast, we've been identifying trends and certainly providing leadership tips and keys for leading and creating culture within the Great Resignation. 47 million people that up and left jobs over about a a year and a half or 2 year period. All this talk around the future of work and that people want to be a part of more meaningful work cultures. And certainly the Surgeon General's declaration that workplace culture is a health crisis in our country. And so we've been talking about how do you create teams and cultures that people want to be a part of. And I've cited all the research in different places that continue to tell us that emotional intelligence, our emotional intelligence as human beings, but then certainly as leaders, is needed more than ever to raise the bar on our emotional intelligence. And the culture, that culture is not a building, it's not a place, but it's an ecosystem of the thinking, acting, and interacting that we all intentionally create. And so we've been talking about all of these topics for the last couple of years. And lately we've been talking about and building off of that Surgeon General's declaration that workplace culture is a health crisis in America. And the studies that tell us that employees have never felt lonelier than they do in the world today. And on the last episode, we talked about how developing people and culture within teams and organizations is not only the right thing to do just as human beings, and we know people want to feel like they belong and they want to be a part of a more meaningful culture, but also for the positive business outcomes and performance metrics as well. And so if you're somebody that needs the kind of what's the return on the investment of all this kind of work, then last episode we really dove into some of the research that shows organizations and teams that have a better culture and are deemed one of those best places to work, actually the business metrics follow. And so we want to make sure that we realize that in the world we live in today, anytime somebody asks me, hey, what's the ROI or what's the return on investment of all these teams and organizations that are so focused on developing people and culture, I say, what's the return on the investment? It's massive. It's massive. That, in my opinion, the organizations that only see developing people and culture as an add-on are already way behind. The organizations that recognize that developing people and culture is as foundational to their business and that will actually help drive more positive business outcomes and performance are the ones that end up thriving, not only in good times, but certainly through the challenging times that we exist. So on today's episode, we'll be previewing one tangible way that we are helping leaders proactively come together and deal with these important issues that we've been facing in the world and certainly within teams and organizations by previewing this year's Thermostat Cultures live event that I'll host on Friday, November 3rd, 2023. It's a hybrid event, VIP in-person event in Columbus, Ohio, as well as a virtual event for anyone outside of Columbus. And so today's episode will preview this powerful experience that's coming soon. But before we dive into today's topic, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. Hey everyone, I want to take a quick minute just to remind you about one of my favorite days of the year that is coming up on Friday, November 3rd, 2023 for Thermostat Cultures Live. This is a powerful day of development that I host and an opportunity for us all to step back, take a deep breath, and calibrate our thermostats for the road ahead in our own leadership roles, our lives, and certainly with the cultures that we are creating. This year, it's a hybrid event, and there are limited seats available for the in-person VIP experience in Columbus, Ohio. That's right, it's a really cool in-person VIP experience in Columbus, Ohio, as well as there are online virtual seats available for those who want to engage from a remote location. As always, I'll be joined by amazing thought leaders from around the globe, and it will be a day you won't want to miss. So visit thermostatcultureslive.com, thermostatcultureslive.com to learn more and to reserve your seat or seats for your entire team. So as we're talking about the upcoming, which I'm so excited about, another Thermostat Cultures live event that I host coming up Friday, November 3rd, 2023. Again, there will be a powerful in-person VIP, limited seats, intimate, great experience in Columbus, Ohio. And then there will also be a interactive and very participatory, awesome virtual audience as well. And so the purpose of this event, we all need time and space to step back, to think and breathe. And we also all are in, no matter what role you play in your team or organization, that we all need to be developing, and we need time and space to calibrate our own thermostats, to think about the people, the leaders that we're trying to be, and to connect back to that culture that we're trying to create in our life and work. And then what does it mean to be an authentic leader, to show up authentically for that temperature we're trying to set, and also for that compelling culture that we're trying to create? What does that look like for the road ahead? And to create a time and space to be able to step back, to reflect, to pick up some nuggets from other leaders and other people that are along that journey as well across industries, and then begin to be thoughtful about your next steps, your next actions that will help you as a leader, and certainly with the culture that you are a part of creating in your life, and certainly within the team and organization that you serve. So I want to remind you just quickly on this quick micro pod that's just previewing the upcoming event, which, by the way, pre-sale tickets are ongoing right now, and tickets, opportunities will be running all the way up till, into November, but there are limited in-person seats. So if you want to be there, in person, you better jump on that quickly at thermostatcultureslive.com, thermostatcultureslive.com. But also, here are 5 things that I want to remind you about this year's event. The first one is that it's a hybrid event. So there will be a VIP in-person experience, as I just explained. But there is limited seating in Columbus, Ohio. Again, you can learn more at thermostatcultureslive.com. But also there will be a interactive and participatory online virtual experience that you can join from a distance. And obviously that one has a little bit more space in it, so there aren't limited seatings for that. We will cap it at some point, but if you're from a distance and you want to participate that way, it is a hybrid event that will be interactive, participatory, really engaging. So I appreciate you checking that out and knowing that about this year's event. The second thing I'll point out to you is that I just say, and this is connected to the purpose of the event, but I'll just say it's needed, that this kind of event is needed. I've found that we are busier than ever in the world, that we are frantic, that, again, we're still recovering coming out of the pandemic. We also, we've seen all the trends related to the future of work and to all of the shifts that have been happening with the Great Resignation and certainly loneliness and those things that we've been talking about on the last few episodes. But leaders and cultures, more than ever in the world right now, need authentic leadership and also intentional strategies. What are we doing to develop our people and culture? And all leaders need space to step back, to breathe, and then to get clear on that temperature that they're trying to set. And everything that follows will be more effective because of it, taking time to step back and to breathe and to get our minds clear on that. The third thing I'll point out is that there will be powerful voices. So beyond me, whether you think my voice is powerful or not, but beyond me, I will be the host for the day, be excited to be welcoming everybody and really facilitating our way through the entire day. But I'm going to be joined by other inspiring thought leaders from across the country, and they're going to share, how they're calibrating their own thermostat to set the temperature that they desire for the next 12 months. And I'll highlight those voices in just a second. But we're going to have some amazing people that are going to join me, one of which being Chris Singleton, who is a former minor league baseball player and now a coveted speaker and advocate. He has an amazing story of his mother being tragically killed in a racially motivated mass shooting down in Charleston, South Carolina, his home. And now his message of love and unity and forgiveness, which is mind-boggling when I talk about him, powerful. You can listen. Chris and I have done a podcast in the past if you want to search that up to hear more about his story. But how those messages are impacting cultures and bringing people together. And so Chris is going to he talks to a bunch of different education and school districts and places all across the country all the time, and also other organizations. He's going to be in person with us, and it's going to be great to have him there. And so you'll want to check that out. My great friend and mentor, Howard Behar, the former president of Starbucks and just servant leadership guru and just amazing, amazing human, is going to be with us in person again this year. All, health, he's had some health issues over the last couple of years, but has been a participant in this event ever since I began it. He was the first person I called and said, "Hey, going to do this event, want you to be a part of it." And Howard's first response was, "Yes, I can't. If you're doing it, I want to be a part of it." And so Howard's been involved either virtually or in person for every event, and we're excited to have him in person with us coming up this year. Tamara Miles will be a participant this year. She's the researcher and author out of the University of Penn, and the research focused on what meaningful work cultures look like. She and one of her research partners, Wes Adams, did all this research on the 12 principles of meaningful work cultures. You can listen to a podcast I did with them as well. And also Tamara and I just did a pod recently about anti-toxic work cultures. And so Tamara will be a part of that. And she always brings great research and cutting edge kind of stuff. And so she'll be a part of it. Also coming back and being a part, we've had a great conversation over the last few years with Ken Boyer from Ernst & Young or EY and Kevin Clayton from the Cleveland Cavaliers. And we've been continuing this conversation around, diversity, equity, inclusion, how again, that kind of thinking isn't an add-on, but it's just a part of leadership and how we are trying to be more inclusive and thoughtful, and that there are business outcomes and strategy that enhances. So we'll make sure that we continue to keep that conversation going as well. So it's going to be an amazing time, and I hope you enjoy those other voices. And oh, by the way, beyond just those people I'm naming here, there are going to be other part of what I think is so cool is the collection of people that this event draws. And so across industries, leaders and people that are learning from each other and a part of it. And it's just a really, really unique, cool environment. And so I'm fired up again for another Thermostat Cultures Live event. The last two things that I would point out to you about this year's event is it's not just a one-day talk, that this will fuel action. And the things we talk about are going to be solutions focused, and it's going to be about impact. And so the day, yes, this event is only a day, but it will leave you inspired and with tangible next steps to stimulate progress in your life and work, and then connected to this powerful network and people that can help support you along the way. And then the last thing I'll just point out to you again is that presale tickets, VIP sponsorship opportunities are available now. You can visit thermostatcultureslive.com for tickets or to learn more. If you have an interest in bulk tickets or VIP tickets or sponsorship opportunities, email us info@jasonvbarger.com, and we can see if there are spots still available for those kind of bulk tickets or company sponsorship opportunities or whatever request you might have. We'll try to work it out and see if that makes sense. So, again, this is a quick podcast, but just a celebration and a preview of what's to come in November. I want to make sure that you save the date, Friday, November 3rd, 2023. For another powerful Thermostat Cultures Live event. The practice of calibrating your own personal thermostat, your own awareness, and thinking about, what is that culture that you're trying to create? What is that, that you're trying to be as a leader? And then to get clear on that, and then to realize that we all have the opportunity to set the temperature and create the culture that we want to be a part of. So some questions to ponder for this episode would be, are you attending? Are you attending the Thermostat Cultures Live event on Friday, November 3rd, 2023? Are you going to be there? There are limited VIP seats available in person. Are you going to be one of those? If so, you better jump on that seats, reserve your seat. Or are you going to be a part of the virtual audience? And if so, I would go ahead and grab that as well. Are you going to engage and join in this conversation and stimulate progress in your life and work? I certainly invite you and welcome you to be a part of it, and hope you'll jump in. I hope you'll continue to keep tuning in to these episodes, and I hope you'll check back and look at past episodes and topics in this podcast that will add value to you. And again, cheers to you for the road ahead. The future of leadership is you, is me, is us. We have the opportunity to get clear on the the type of leader and the type of culture that we want to create. And then we have the great opportunity with courage and commitment to breathe oxygen into the cultures that we want. So remember, the best leaders, teams, and organizations on the planet, they stimulate progress by recalibrating their thermostats together and then continuing to breathe oxygen into the people around them so that we can create the cultures that we want. Step back, remember, be a thermostat, and breathe good oxygen. Thank you for listening to today's podcast, and I hope the messages and questions stimulate positive change along your path. As always, if these messages resonate with you and add value to your life, I hope you'll help amplify them throughout the world. Please rate, comment, and share on whatever podcast or social media platform you're using, and share this podcast with the people in your life or work who should be part of these conversations. That way, this spirit does, in fact, spread. If these messages or developing leaders and culture would be helpful to you and your organization, please contact us at jasonvbarger.com, jasonvbarger.com. And remember, we are all ambassadors for the culture we want to create in our life and work. We have to own the vision we want to be a part of. The future of leadership is you, is me, is us. Be a thermostat.